Hello guys, it's Claymore here, and welcome back to the channel. So as you seen by the title, I do react to Frantik's video, and as much as it's an hour and 20 minutes long, trust me when I say it doesn't feel like it. But I wanted to preface the video and say, you know, I probably shouldn't have given them the attention anyways this video gave, but don't go after him, don't spread hate, don't attack him, don't go to his chat and grief him, whatever. Like, as far as I'm concerned, none of my community members would do such a thing anyways, but, you know, it's not worth it. He's not worth it. It's just a little preface there. Either way, enjoy the video. It's an interesting one, and an example should be set to all the other cycle partners out there who share this kind of attitude. Let's watch this video and see what it's all about. See what's going on. So let me get the link here to get it sorted. Here we go. All right, let's have a good look at. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Well, sorry, my bad. I don't know where this came from. I don't know how this computer works. Sorry, guys. Right then. Anyways, this is by Frantik. The video has 100 likes. I wonder how many dislikes it has. 2.2k views over 2 days. And this is an ex-cycle partner. Let's see what dear Frantik has to say before we go to start to do some video gaming.
What's up, guys? I am no longer a Jaeger partner, not by choice, but now that means that I am no longer under NDA. So now I can finally speak my mind openly about how I feel about Jaeger and the state of the cycle moving into Season 3. During this video, I will have some footage playing in the background. I will also throw up some screenshots, and I will throw up some clips of certain things as I'm going
lower my camera a little bit.
Relax, enjoy the video, and let's dive straight into this.
So just to preface this, I'm really sorry. Just to preface this, it is a video about the Cycle Frontier and Jaeger. I find it really funny how he's using Tarkov footage for this, especially with the states Tarkov is in right now. I guess he couldn't be bothered to even get like some other footage sorted, but I mean, there we go, I guess. But I find that pretty funny how he's talking about Cycle and Jaeger with Tarkov playing in the background. That's funny.
First things first, I want to kind of give you a little bit of background about how the Jaeger Partner Program works, and then how they've restructured it recently. So before, when I first started playing Cycle back in Season 1, end of Closed Beta 2, the Partner Program essentially was, if you were a content creator and you were making content for the game consistently, you would get into the Partner Program.
True. Yeah, true. I mean, the first iteration of being a content creator, there was a view requirement, though. He's missing that out. There was a viewership requirement to become a partner. You know, I think back then it was pretty much the 75 viewer average. I might be misremembering that, but there was some preliminary requirements to become a Cycle affiliate and a Cycle partner. There were two different ones. The affiliate one was obviously very easy to get, but the partner one was obviously for those with bigger viewership. So you could just get partner straight away. That's not how that works. But he's partially right.
Didn't really have an affiliate program. Well, they did, but they weren't really adding too many people to it. If you were making any sort of content at this point, you were essentially getting into the partner program.
I disagree. That's not how that works. I know of many people, myself included, who made content for the Cycle, streaming in YouTube, and we didn't get into the partner program, even though we applied for it. That's already categorically false.
It seemed like Jaeger was a lot more open back then, and they communicated it a little bit better as they were in Season 1 and Closed Beta 2, probably because their viewer count and their player base was up high, so they were on top of the world. But as that kind of fell off moving into Season 2, they did a partner program restructure, and I'll throw some stuff up on the screen here, which isn't a huge deal, but the requirements to get into the partner program itself were out of this world. No one met these requirements. As you can see, to become a partner for your Twitch stats, you need 4,000 watch hours and 100 average viewers per stream.
So yeah, so we all had the same response to this when this was first shown to us. So the requirements are obviously steep. That goes without saying. I mean, having 10k subs and 3,500 average video views on YouTube is already quite difficult to do. Especially regarding the time of the game when there wasn't a lot of people playing or watching. There just wasn't. There wasn't the player base there. Wasn't a viewership base there either. So we are the same response to this. I will say though, I'm hoping Frantik's going to cover this as well, is that we were told, as much as this is the initial like structure, it was subject to change. It wasn't final. This was kind of like a rough draft idea that Jaeger wanted to kind of like test the waters with a little bit in preparation for season 2 and 3. I think this was going out since season 2 anyways. In preparation for season 3, let's say. Because they anticipated with all their work and stuff like that, and with all the marketing and stuff they do, they'd be able to get this program in place. That being said, at the time, it was very, very much out of field, but we were told it was going to be subject to change. It's not going to be the final numbers, and B, we were also told that the current partners and affiliates, back then at least, now it's Badham's Finest, Fortuna's Favored, as long as they liked working with us and we were consistent with content, or we just stay consistent with Cycle in any other way, as long as they vibed with us and they liked us and our content, you would stay in the program. That they were going to be flexible with that too. So no one was really at danger here. No one was really in danger here. But I'm hoping Frantik's going to cover this.
When they implemented this change, not a single streamer besides Afflict at the time met these requirements.
Sure.
So I don't know where Jaeger got off with setting these requirements. It made zero sense. They were getting an average of 600 viewers on Twitch in the whole Cycle category. So this change made no sense.
Once again, it was subject to change. It wasn't finalized. This was like the very first draft of it. We were told that it's going to change, and it did change.
To any of us at the time, we were all very confused and worried that we were going to lose our partnership because none of us qualified for this besides Afflict. Now, on the YouTube side of things, 3,500 average video views and 10,000 subscribers. At that time, the current people that were in the partner program that met the YouTube requirement were me, Some Kind of Dog. We were the only two that had above 10,000 subscribers and met the average of 3,500 views per video. Now there's a few other ones. I think Vasco's getting pretty close to that. He may not meet the subscriber count, but he definitely meets the viewer count.
Yeah.
And Jaeger had stated that they would make exceptions based off of if you were putting the time and effort in and they saw that you were making good quality content, they would keep you in the partner program. Now,
yeah, so they'd be flexible with it. It's not like they're not looking purely at the numbers there. Especially for a lot of the OGs who were here since CB1 and CB2, you know, like, if you're still here from CB1 and CB2, I can promise you that Jaeger really, really appreciate you because, you know, the game has gone through some rough spots. Season 1 was full of cheaters. Season 2 was very dry in content very quickly. Had a lot of problems. You know, like if you still stuck with Cycle for the entirety of that, you know, they're gonna appreciate you. You know what I mean? And I think that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Essentially, they made this change to remove partners from the program that weren't actively playing the game, that were only coming back around when the new season came out to get drops, and then they would dip and go play their main game. So they were doing this to better the partner program for the creators that were consistently putting out content, consistently playing the game. Cycle was their main game, which was a lot of us at the time. As season 2 progressed, we kind of noticed that the game was kind of going downhill. The devs were really lackluster on patch notes. They were taking a long time to do balances and stuff like that.
I gotta have to disagree with this, mostly because of the timing. For the majority of season 2, I think about half of it. So season 2 was about 6 months, just a little over 6 months maybe, but either way, about half a year. For 3 of those months, 2 to 3 months, give or take, I'll be generous here. We were getting patches every week to 2 weeks, and then it did stretch to 3 weeks eventually, but the reason for that being is because at the time we were coming up on the holidays, more and more staff were taking time off for Christmas and like New Year's and stuff like that, or just their own personal holidays and everything. Like, and you have to remember one thing as well, and this is how development works. They're not just working on fixing the game as it is right now. They're also largely dedicated to working on the next major content update. You know, that's how development works. I mean, I think this was covered in an interview with Blizzard not too long ago by Mike Preach-Wow. You know, every time they work on an expansion, they're working on the next expansion and then a little bit of the expansion after then. That's how development works. That's how you keep the steady flow going. So it wasn't like they slowed down because they weren't doing anything. They were slowing down the patches and stuff like that because the majority of the important stuff was fixed. The last remaining stuff they could get sorted, hopefully before season 3. There was some stuff that didn't make it. I will admit that, and Jaeger know that too. But Yeah, that's not that's how development works. So they weren't slowing down because they decided to just fob us off. They were working on season 3 and likely what comes after it.
So a lot of people dipped, a lot of people left, myself included. I left for a little bit. I took a little bit of a break. I think it was about a month.
I took a break for like 2.5 months. I took a break from that long. I didn't stream it. To be fair, but at the time I did stream a lot. I was going through a lot of stuff personally, but I didn't stream the game for 2.5 months. But I did stay very much in contact with the community, with Jaeger and stuff like that, as a partner, as a fortune has favored. And I still kept, I did some testing and stuff like that, did some test builds and stuff, and gave them a lot of feedback. So yeah.
In play Cycle, but then I came back. Ultimately, I came back. Can't really stay away from Cycle. It's one of those games where even if you hate it, you're still gonna want to play
True.
it. Like, there's nothing else to play, and Cycle just had that vibe.
True.
It had scratched that itch that we were all looking for at one point in time. Here comes the main problem with the new partner program. They are claiming that they're doing it in rotation. So
yes,
the same people won't stay in the partner program month after month. You have to reapply for the partner program each month, meaning you may not get into the partner program even if you were consistently making content, consistently making or streaming, anything like that. You may not get in because they're doing it based on rotations, which makes no sense. I've never seen any other dev company do rotations of partners. Like, if you look at someone...
so whilst he's right, it's not common for dev teams to be able to do that. It's also not uncommon for not just like sponsorship companies that streamers work with, but businesses as a whole to just stop working with you if they feel like it's not really going anywhere. Like if you are a partner for Cycle and you only ever stream, you don't make like any YouTube videos, there's no TikToks, no interaction on social medias, etc. Sure, you're likely at a higher chance of being rotated out for someone who does what you do, but across all fronts as well. I agree that it's not common, but it also, to me, makes a degree of sense because not only does it do that, and it also weeds out some of the less active content creators, the spot could go to someone who is doing that anyways. You know what I mean? Like, it gives more content creators more of a chance to find a place within Cycle, get some traction, get some extra viewership, and be rewarded for their passion on the project. I think it's more of like a determining who is truly passionate about the game and who is truly active. Yeah, the shining example of this would probably be Vasco. I think Vasco wouldn't need to reapply, and I don't think he's at threat of being removed if he doesn't reapply because he is a content pumping machine and he streams very regularly and he's just a cool guy. But more importantly, any feedback he gives to Jaeger is just straight to the point and not personal. So I think it doesn't make sense to Frantik because he's likely being a slightly bigger content creator and streamer as worked with companies that just give him the place and he keeps it,
So successful as Dark and Darker, they allow pretty much everybody into their partner program. If you have a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel and you're making consistent content on Dark and Darker, they will accept you into their partner program. And the main difference that I saw with Jaeger's partner program and Iron Mace's partner program is Iron Mace, you get a direct line of communication with the actual devs of the game, the actual people who are making the code for the game, the artists, everything. You have a direct line of communication with those people, and you can ping your ideas directly off the people who are making the game.
So this is not a sustainable model of communication in terms of how that this works. Now, I love Dark and Darker. I think it's a fantastic game. I think it's right up there with Cycle Frontier and even Tarkov. And I really hope we get it back soon. But if you allow everybody who makes content consistently, regardless of size, to have a direct line of contact with your devs, it's not sustainable. It's just not. They're not going to be able to respond to everything everybody says. So then what's going to happen is and what happened, this is what happened with Cycle when they started lifting off, they had to filter things down a bit. Like they got all this barrage of information, all these barrage of requests and other stuff, and they had to filter it down to essentially be more efficient with the information that they're given and the communication they put out. That's what the CMs, the community managers, are there in the Cycle Discord and in the community for. Like, they are points of contact which they can relate to the devs. And at the end of the day, that line of communication doesn't guarantee you any sort of influence in the game. It doesn't. At the end of the day, the devs are going to work on their game and they're going to listen to good ideas. But if they don't really think the idea is good for their game that you're presenting to them, spoiler alert, they're probably not going to do anything with it. So just because you have a line of contact with the devs doesn't mean you get especially special privileges, nor does it mean that you're going to have any direct influence in the game guaranteed. An example of this for Cycle Frontier was when we were in the season 1 and we had a direct line of contact with the anti-cheat team leader, Toast. And, it was going all right so far, but then the amount of reports started picking up, and he couldn't do it on his own anymore, not with him and the CMs alongside of him. So it's not sustainable. It's a very normal thing for a lot of devs to just receive messages from their community who play their game through emissaries, ambassadors, community managers. It's very normal practice. And as long as they do well, which Jaeger have done, it's fine. The community managers are active in all Discords. They respond to DMs pretty quickly if you send them a message. Yeah.
I do not know why Jaeger doesn't do this. Jaeger has community managers who is like playing Whisper Down the Alley. Like, I tell a community manager something, they have to go tell the devs that. And then who knows if they, said exactly what I said, if they changed the idea a little bit, if they even told them at all. Who knows? We don't, because they never communicated with us. That was the main issue I had with the Jaeger partner program.
I will say this is also categorically false. There are a few devs who definitely remain in good contact with us, especially in the FTG group, which is where a lot of the players really put in a lot of the work to get a lot of stuff tested. Tasuji, one of the main map designers for the game, he was very active in a lot of the different Discords and stuff like that, different channels. He live streamed in the Discord sometimes of him working on maps and stuff. Top of my head, Rumble has popped up quite often, quite consistently. Other devs have popped up too. And more recently, ever since he joined the team, Matt Lightfoot, he's been keeping an eye on our channels and responding pretty well to everything and staying in the loop with us. That's not true. We have had actual devs communicate with us and take feedback from us over the course of season 1, season 2, and a little bit of season 3 so far too. So this is not true.
Was that we didn't have good communication. There was no communication between the devs and the partners at all.
He's talking about the time towards the back half of season 2, which is what, like I said, was them buckling down and getting ready for season 3. They can't consistently communicate and work really hard on their game at the same time. As long as we get occasional updates and stuff, that should be the acceptable standard. I think Frantik, and I know that Frantik and others are saying the same mind, the expectations are too high. They want this constant stream of communication with the devs whilst they're working their asses off, trying to get things fixed, trying to get things prepped for the next content update. It's not sustainable. It's sounding pretty entitled, honestly. Like, your partnership, your place in the partnership program doesn't guarantee you any of that. It doesn't tell you in the fine print anywhere you will have a 24/7 direct line of communication with anybody in the dev team of your choice. That's not how that works. And they communicated with us a lot. The CMs were really good at relaying a lot of information during the entirety of all seasons so far. Like, this is
Unless
not a good start.
One of their favorites. Then the devs would come into your stream and hang out. The devs would play games with you, that kind of stuff. Unless you were a favorite or you kissed Jaeger's ass, you did not get any line of communication with the devs.
Oh boy. This went from being an okay video to suddenly like every Twitter fucking comment I read on BSG's posts. So frantic. Jesus, mate. Jesus. Wow.
I am not a person that is going to bullshit my viewers, bullshit my fans, and just sit here and say only good things about the game. Even when I was a partner, if you watched any of my streams or my videos, I was knocking on Jaeger all day long because I'm not going to sit here and peddle a game or something that I'm not happy about to my viewers. It's just not something I can do. It's why I don't take a lot of the sponsorship opportunities I get on this channel, is because it's just not something I can get behind.
Okay, so Frantik claimed he's a no bullshit kind of guy, right? So I'll mirror this and do a no bullshit reply of myself. The moment you said that Jaeger pick favorites and you have to kiss Jaeger's ass to get anywhere with them, is the moment you just completely lost all grounds for a reasonable sound argument. Do dev teams favor working with others? Yeah, sure, but that's the same way. Like if you work in an office, you prefer working with someone else as opposed to someone else. You know, like people hate their bosses sometimes working in offices. Sometimes they get on well with them and they work pretty closely with them. That's just how the world works, Frantik. You know, they're going to work with people who, you know, they vibe with and they, you know, who give them feedback but don't get personal about it. And what happened with you, Frantik, on more than one occasion, you were called out for this on more than one occasion, like to the point where the mods and other people, other partners told you to pack it in, otherwise you get timed out from the server. You would go on these massive rants, get really, really personal, throw insults, and not just the devs, but other partners too. The old channel, unfortunately, is closed down, so I can't get any screenshots of that, but many other partners in the Discord group will attest to this. You know, at the end of the day, if you want the devs to work closely alongside you and with you, and, you know, even on a friendlier level, hang out in your stream and stuff like that, you've got to be composed. You've got to be, you know, like, don't bullshit anybody, but do it in a way that isn't derogatory or insulting. Vasco is another great example of this, and frankly, myself included. You know, I worked with Jaeger and I love them, but I have been very hard on them for the majority of Season 2. I've given them tons of feedback, reported tons of issues to the devs. During test builds and stuff like that, I gave them very, very stern advice and stuff like that. It's about how you present yourself, Frantik, and you're not presenting yourself well. You haven't presented yourself well at all, and and you wonder why the devs don't want to work with you. You know, and trust me, man, like if you can't see this right now yourself, then you're in deep shit, bud, because not many people are going to want to work with you, and the devs of Dark and Dark are going to see that too.
It's not something I want to sell to my viewers. It's just not who I am. So that was the main issue, is the no communication. Like, I would have loved to see better communication between Jaeger, the devs, and the partners in that program at that time.
So, could Jaeger have been better on communication? Yes. I'm not going to sit here, after saying all that to Frantik, I'm not going to sit here and say that the devs communicated completely perfectly fine. There were periods of time and certain things that happened that should have been communicated better, 100%. I will agree with that. But it wasn't necessarily so bad that it didn't fall within the acceptable margin of either miscommunication or not communicating well enough. Because we always had the CMs at play. They would always relay information back and forward and stuff. We always had the occasional dev who would pop into our channels and still communicate with us and ask for feedback and stuff. Like, could it be better? Sure. But I think for the amount of work they were having to do, I think it was an acceptable amount.
So the second
My
thing,
opinion.
I'm going to throw a screenshot up on the screen here. And I don't care at this point. I'm going to out people directly because it's not fair to everyone else who's applying for the partner program. Jaeger let a known view botter or embedder into their partner program. Here's the stats on the screen. It was crazy. You could see the massive spike in their uptrend on watch hours and viewer count.
Yeah.
And I let Scraticus know about this. Me and a couple other people reached out to Scraticus. We let them know about this, and Scraticus reached out to this person and said, hey, are you view-botting? What's going on here? And he let them know, no, I'm paying to have my stream embedded on other people's websites. This is essentially legal view-botting. Essentially what happens is you pay a website to put your stream on that website. So,
yeah, I know the streamer he's talking about, and I think I'm not going to be shy about it. It's a streamer called Veritas DH. He does work with Jaeger. He is in the partner program. He does use embeds. He said he uses embeds, and it's the embeds in general are a very morally grey thing to do on Twitch right now. There's no real rule saying you can do it, but there's no real no rule you can break by saying you can't do it. Like, there's no punishable means to go after someone who's embedding. The plus side, it's very obvious when someone isn't embedding, and I've been in Veritas DH's stream as well, and it's very clearly he's using embeds, because you can sit in the stream for half an hour and no one will talk. Now, we did express our concerns about this because there is a kind of like a reward incentive for partners that if they put in the hours, whether it's across YouTube or Twitch and stuff, you're eligible for prizes and stuff. Like, this could be like headsets, a bit of PC kit or whatever, like all the above. And we were concerned that this person would essentially, with his embeds, abuse this. The dev took this into account, and he didn't really win anything. At least I don't think he won anything particularly. I think he got third place or something like that. But the devs said they're going to keep a much closer eye on this kind of stuff after that point. This only really became obvious when the competition started, and then people saw the numbers, checked out Veritas DH's stream, and yeah. I'm not going to really say much about embeds, because like I said, there's not really any precedent against it yet. Although I do think that, I'm not saying Veritas DH is doing this, I hope he's not doing this, but if you do use embeds to unfairly gain advantages in things like competitions where it's based on watch hours and stuff, then you are a piece of shit, I will say. But like I said, I don't know Veritas DH's intentions, but yes, he is embedding right now.
And any traffic that's driven to that website counts as a view for your stream. So the viewers aren't actually in your chat. That's why they don't talk. That's why, all that kind of stuff happens. And it's essentially a legal way to view bot, and Twitch can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So Jaeger knew about this, and they were going to write up a new, pretty much addendum to their contract and to their partnership requirements, saying that they have to be active viewers to count.
Yeah.
So they knew about this.
Yeah.
From this partner rotation, they allowed that embedder back into the partner program, even though they haven't played the cycle in so long. They have barely any watch hours on cycle this month, and Jaeger knows that they're embedding.
So with this logic, I shouldn't be Fortuna's favorite either. Because for about 2 to 3 months, I didn't stream cycle, I didn't barely even played it. I didn't do any of that. However, what I did do, because even as much as I wasn't playing the game, I still wanted to support the game. I still remained very much in touch with the community. I still kept an eye on the streams and stuff like that and gameplay to see how things were going. But I also did a lot of private testing and feedback for the devs. A lot of testing and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's what allowed me to keep my place as Fortuna's favorite, but, I remained in contact and I remained passionate about the game regardless of me not playing or streaming it. I don't know what Veritas DH was doing during this time. I do agree that you shouldn't. In my opinion, I don't think if you are using embeds and you don't stream the game that much or play it at all, hardly, but you're active, I think that to a degree, sure, I don't think you should qualify for the partner program. I think it should be organic viewers. I think it should be based on the passion you and consistency with content you put out, and if the devs vibe working with. But the thing is, I don't know what Veritas has done behind the scenes. Frantik doesn't know what Veritas has done behind the scenes, so until we know for sure what's been done, we can't really comment on it. Although I do agree that embed shouldn't allow you into a partner program. I will agree with Frantik on this.
That they use fake viewers. So why would you allow them back into the partner program to represent your company as a content creator? Makes no sense at all. It makes 0 sense. I don't understand this.
If I were to say anything, I'm not saying that Jaeger really care about it that much, but if there's a line of logic, I would say why they would decide to keep him on. It's probably just beefing the numbers up on Twitch a bit. A few extra 100 viewers, doesn't really affect them and harm them anyway. I know people like to think it looks bad because they're a favored or partner and they're using embeds, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really reflect on Jaeger as a whole. And like I said as well, it's not like he can abuse that anymore if he was doing it to get free prizes from the creator competitions. So it doesn't really impact Jaeger in a negative light, hardly at all.
I literally don't. Besides that, Jaeger also made a statement that they do not listen to the 1%'s comments. What is the 1%, you may be asking? They say that the 1% are essentially anybody who is insanely good at PvP. If you are insanely good at PvP
Here we go.
and at the game, you are in this 1%.
I was waiting for it.
Claim. They essentially told us that they do not look at the 1% statements like they do the general public, because apparently the 1% only looks out for themselves. So essentially, if you're good at PvP, none of your feedback will be looked at because you only care about yourself in the game.
So he is paraphrasing so heavily here. Like, it's unreal how much he's paraphrasing. So let me break down what Jaeger actually said. So yes, if you are insanely good at PvP in the game, you are considered to be at the top percentile of the player base. You are at the apex, basically. You're the top of the leaderboard, you're top of the bucket lists, whatever. You're top of the MMR, whatever. And you have, and these players have a very unique insight about how game PvP works. They typically have a unique insight into how things like numbers work in terms of damage interaction and values. They, especially with mobility. A lot of PvPers tend to find these really cheesy spots and stuff, which more often than not, they report back to the devs saying, you should probably fix this. Jaeger never once said, if you are in the top 1% of the players, we're not going to listen to you. They never said that. Frantik is lying out of his asshole here. I know what he's talking about, and what he's actually talking about is this. Jaeger have stated that, whilst they do value everyone's opinion, the top percent player base, the absolute PvP warlords at the top of the fucking food chain, as much as they have unique insight, they do more often than not have a warped mindset on how things are supposed to work. More often than not. I've seen it in countless games like I've played and worked with alongside the years. I've seen it across the board. The point isn't that, Jaeger will listen to you if you're good at PvP. That's never been the case. It's about presenting your argument in a fair way that doesn't just take your 1% into account, but as many players across the board into account. And this is what happened more often than not, and has happened more often than not in previous games. The top 1% will give feedback based on their own experiences, and they provide their feedback to improve their experience more often than not. It's not all the time, we can look at other people, once again referencing Vasco, who's nuts at PvP, but Vasco provides his feedback with the broader picture in mind. A lot of the players and ex-partners in this program, Frantik included, will only give feedback that really benefited him, or in terms of the grand context of the player base, didn't really change things at all. So no, he's lying out of his ass here. I can promise you that. Jaeger have never said they don't listen to PvPers. They listen to PvPers, but they just keep the broader picture in mind, because at the end of the day, if you only cater to the top 1% of your player base, you're going to only have the top 1% of your player base left over after you start catering to them. That's just factual. That's how it works. You have to keep as wide a blanket covering on the community as possible to include as many people as possible.
And not the general public. Makes no sense. For a game studio to say this about their partners,
they didn't say that.
Their public PvPers is insane.
They didn't say that.
I think that the top tier players only want to better the game for themselves and not as a whole. These are the people you should be listening to. The people that grind your game every single day and that are insane at it, whether that's PvE or PvP, these are the people you should be listening to.
Disagree. I think that you should be listening to them, but it's not the only people you should be listening to. This is such an entitled, bizarre take. It's beyond me, but I will say, unfortunately, that with Frantik's behavior in the partner Discord and stuff like that, when he was a partner, I'm not surprised he would come up with this. It's not just him; it's others too. At the end of the day, that Jaeger made things that we all have differing opinions about. But that just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's the wrong thing. It just means it's not for you. You are not the standard that the dev should set to. And if you think that, you're entitled beyond fucking belief, out of your ass, and you're probably not a good pick for anyone to work with by that point anyways.
Not the people that hop on once in a while. Those are the people that, in my opinion, you shouldn't really be listening to, because they don't play the game enough to understand how it works to the T.
So you'll play. So I could play throughout the entirety of Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, but if I don't play a lot of Season 4, that completely invalidates my experience as it. This is so this reasoning, this logic is so warped and like self-centered. It's unbelievable. Who are you to say this? Who are you to say devs listen only to the 1%? Don't listen to the other guys. Who do care about the game and are passionate about the game. They don't play as much as me. How entitled can you be, Frantik?
People that are there every single day and are grinding it are the people that find these bugs, that know how the weapons should be balanced. The people that are PvPing all day, know how the guns feel, the recoil feels, the bullet drop, the bullet velocity, all that kind of stuff. They know how all that stuff feels. Those are the people you should be listening to when it comes to gun balancing and stuff like that. But they don't. They choose to listen to the gamer dad, as they've said. There have been multiple instances when the devs have said on their live streams, Scraticus, Rumble, Justin, Toast, have said that they prefer to sit in bushes and third-party fights and rat the fights, essentially. Bro, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. For you to perpetuate a gameplay style like that,
God,
sitting in bushes and watching fights go down.
Oh no,
I've never heard anything like that.
Dude, he's literally like still stuck in fucking 2021 where the Rat versus Chad meme in Tarkov was taking its way. Jesus wept. He's complaining that the devs prefer to play their game their own way. Frantik, my man, you are so disconnected. It's unreal. not every player is going to be a PvPer. Not every player is going to chase every shot they hear. Some of them just want to crack on with tasks. That means hiding in a bush so they can wait for someone to go past them, or if they get an ambush on them. That's a fact you're going to have to deal with. The fact that you very clearly lack the maturity to deal with this inevitability, this fact, it just shows and just shows how shaky the foundations you're trying to build this argument is on. First, you say that the devs, you only listen to people who they like and who lick their ass. First, you say that, they never listen to PvPers and they don't listen to the 1%. They prefer listening to the gamer dad. And now you're saying here that, oh my God. Ugh, we're not even halfway through the fucking video yet. Keep watching.
You should want your players to be going out, getting into these fights, using these guns, not just sitting in bushes and hiding. And for a dev company to say that that's how they play, pretty much all of their devs play like that, that's insane to me. I never understand that. And it makes more sense now, after them saying that, why they are, kind of changing the different things in the way that they are, like taking away slide jumping and stuff like that.
What's he on about? What do you mean taking away slide jumping? What does he mean?
Because they can't adapt to the high-level play style. So instead of, learning it, they would rather remove it.
What is he on about? Slide jumping isn't in the game. What's he on about? Frantik, are you good? Is this like a steady descent into madness? The video started off okay, then went down. Now we're just playing. Wait. Are you deluded? You can slide jump in the game still. What's he on about? Is he talking about jump shooting?
Which makes no sense to me. Moving into my next point is that slide jumping being removed. Right now, there's a play style where you slide, jump, and then ADS your gun midair. So you can slide, jump, peek a corner, shoot while you're ADS while you're flying around the corner, and put some damage in people. There have been multiple partners that have come out and said that they want the slide, jump, shooting mechanic removed because it's not fair.
Who has said this? Who has said this? Which partner chats have I been reading? Because very clearly me and Frantik share different ones. Or used to share different ones. He's not in them anymore. He's not taught... Okay, this is where it broke down before, but this is where we just go into pure fiction now. What he's talking about isn't slide jump shooting. He's talking about jump shooting. Where rather than sliding and then jumping and peeking a corner and ADSing and shooting someone, rather than doing that, what a lot of the top PvPers would do is they would peek someone regularly, but in the middle of shooting them, they would bunny hop all the time. There was no penalty to accuracy whilst jumping. Like the majority of games who do have extraction games, at least, that usually offer penalties for stuff like this. In Cycle in season 2, you could infinitely bunny hop, which would make you considerably harder to hit, which make the majority of shots hit your legs, which do reduce damage. Eternally. And you might ask, well, wait, what about stamina drain? You can still jump right now with 0 stamina. You can still mental with 0 stamina. Before, there was virtually no penalty to jump shooting. You could just keep doing it, and no one would be able to land those critical headshots on you. Now, the main issue me and many others had with this, and not just the gamer dads or whatever, but a lot of the top 1% to PvPers didn't like this either. Frantik's leaving this out for obvious reasons. Is what we wanted is there to be a mid-air accuracy nerf, so this couldn't be spammed all the time. And if you were going to do this, you would have to be really close, like sub 5 meters within an enemy. It's a fair balance to make. And I know a lot of, Frantik included, I know a lot of content creators out there in the partner program try to defend this by saying it raises the skill gap. It rewards good movement and outmaneuverability. Right. I would argue against that on the grounds of raising the skill gap implies that you have to master a very specific, very hard to execute technique in order to slightly raise your chances of winning. Now, this, in my opinion, in Cycle's context, would be things like knowing what surfaces to mantle, having the intimate map knowledge, Sliding in and out of cover, baiting out shots and stuff like that, knowing when to hard push, and still slide jumping a corner. You know, like those are difficult things to master for the majority of players. That is where you start entering the pro territory in the context of cycle. A lot of these things require either intimate knowledge of where you are on the map, or it requires you to be really quick on your keyboard and be able to execute these movement combinations pretty well too. Would you like to know what jump shooting you'd have to do? Why it raises the skill gap so much? You'd press spacebar over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I don't know about you guys. That doesn't sound like a complex mechanic to me to pull off. That just, to me, comes across as button spamming. And the fact that you're able to button spam, or you were able to button spam and get a huge advantage, is ridiculous. Give us actual movement that requires genuine skill to master, not spamming one single button while you're doing everything else at the same time. That's not skillful PvP. Not in the context of other games there is as well. Q&E strafing is the same. That's why we have inertia to kind of like prevent this from happening. I have no idea what Frantik's talking about here. I'm assuming he's talking about jump shotting. You have the context there now. But you can still slide jump shoot. I have literally played for about 11 hours so far of Season 3, post the jump shoot nerf. I am still able to do it if the enemy is close enough, and I can still just slide jump shoot and peek around corners. So as much as I dislike this meme, it really sounds like a skill issue for a lot of these people.
And that you shouldn't win the fight because you press one more key than me. That's the whole point. You look at any game like Apex or anything like that, movement is the determining factor in most cases if you're going to win a fight. If you're just standing still or walking in a straight line or crouched trying to shoot, you're probably going to lose the fight. If I'm zipping around you, jump sliding, peeking different angles at different, in different ways by slide jumping around the corners or anything like that, I'm probably going to win because I'm utilizing the movement to my benefit.
Yeah.
If you can't adapt to that playstyle, this probably isn't the game for you. And I really hope that Jaeger does not go down the path of removing and making movement sluggish.
I find it ironic how he's saying that this isn't the game for you. And he's making this video, which clearly is stating that this, not just this game, but the dev team isn't for him. I find that incredibly ironic. And I see this argument made a lot when people compare Cycle to Apex. Apex is a different game entirely. There's one thing that the both games kind of share in common a little bit, is the gunplay and how it works. A little bit of the gunplay similarities are there, a little bit. But that's all the similarities the games share. Apex is a battle royale, Cycle is an extraction shooter. They're completely different games. And more often than not, with an extraction game, movement is typically, compared to other arcade shooter-like games, slower to drill home the feeling of intensity, uncertainty, and also it rewards smarter decision-making when you're moving through the map, if you're in the open, moving through cover, utilizing your stamina well, etc. It is a different game entirely, and as much as it's entertaining to watch people absolutely go nuts with their movement in Apex, I could never hope to do that. It's a different game. You can't apply that mechanic to Cycle because it's not Cycle. And the devs very clearly now have stated in their vision for the game, they don't want it to be like Apex. They want it to be like Cycle Frontier. I find it ironic how Frantik is saying that this game isn't for you if that game isn't for you if you can't get better. He's literally saying get good, kids.
If they remove this slide jump mechanic where you slide around a corner, you can slide, jump, ADS, and
once again, you can still do it. I've been doing it since the start of Season 3 without no issues.
Shoot pretty accurate, I will no longer be playing the Cycle. And I have multiple other partners that have said the same exact thing, that if they remove this mechanic, they are also done playing the Cycle.
They're not going to remove the mechanic. They've not ever hinted that they want to remove the mechanic. They've only talked about jump shooting and accuracy in midair. That's all they've talked about. That's all they wanted to target.
It's going to make movement feel like shit, and it's going to make sitting still and ratting the meta because you're going to get the first shot, and there's going to be no way to react anymore because you won't be able to slide, jump, and shoot. Just my opinion here. I don't know how many of you guys actually feel the same way as this, but there's a lot of people that are on my side, and there's a lot of bad people who are against me. So we'll see about that.
So, okay, right, there you go. If you're against Frantik here, guys, you're just bad. That's it. Sorry, guys, you're bad. Sorry, unfortunately, it's end of the stream. We all are bad. We have to stop reacting to the video now. Sorry, guys. We have to leave it be there. We're all just bad. We're all just bad. Yeah, he's right. We're all just bad. Fucking hell, man. This is turning into some kind of shit. It really is.
Back to the partner program. So another thing is they're allowing streamers who haven't even played the game or have barely played the game in the past 6 months into the partner program. They do not meet the requirements because a lot of these requirements to get into the partner program are cycle specific. So 100 average viewers on cycle specifically, 4,000 watch hours on cycle specifically. It's not overall channel stats. It is on cycle specifically. At least that's what we were told when we were in the program. Now, if Jaeger changed that, who knows? But they're allowing people back into the partner program that haven't even touched the game during season 2 at all, which makes no sense.
So once again, he literally said this earlier in the video, so he's contradicting himself with this argument. The requirements are there for the majority. If the devs like you, they vibe with you, they like your content, and if you still remain consistent in some way, aka, I could be using this as an example here, where I didn't stream or play the game for 3 months, but I remained in contact with the devs, I kept an eye on the systems, patch notes and stuff like that, provided feedback where it needed to be provided, push some feedback through, but also do a lot of testing on private test builds and stuff like that in the FTG and stuff like that and other places too. As much as that is the case, if they like you, they'll probably keep you on. You know, the requirements are flexible in that regard. He literally said this himself in the video earlier. So it does make sense in that regard, because obviously the devs vibe with these people who haven't played the game for a long time but want to come back for Season 3. And I'm sorry to say this, but I think even the devs are aware that the majority of their content creators and streamers across the board just didn't want to play Cycle Season 2 because there was nothing to do. I stopped playing Cycle Season 2 because I didn't like Tharis at the time, because it was far too heavily camped. It was also needing a lot of work too as well. I played Tharis in the thick of when it was very much infested with bugs and glitches. I did nearly all of the task lines. The only task lines I had left was for Tharis, which, like I just said, I don't like the map, so I didn't really see any reason to push it. You know, I did everything the game had to offer at the time in Season 2, so there was no reason to keep playing and drive myself into further and further frustration, because what just happens is that, and this applies to every other streamer as well, they don't have fun, the viewers don't have fun, they're just banging their head against a brick wall waiting for something to happen. That's not what you should do. But you don't, if you do decide to not do that, you don't go off and talk shit about the game, and you don't go and insult the devs. That's not how that works. That doesn't give you the right to do that.
They're kicking people like myself and Corbry out of the partner program who have been with this game, dedicated to this game the entire time, through closed betas, through Season 1, through Season 2, through the Season 2 extension. They're kicking us out and replacing us with people who haven't even played the game, who don't.
Right, so he mentioned Corbry there. I'm going to show you guys a tweet from Corbry after he wasn't accepted in this current partner program. Now, bear in mind, chat, that they could still reapply if they wanted to. It's not like they were out of the partner program permanently. The same goes for Frantik. They could still reapply and possibly hope to get back in. So let me find the tweet. Here it is. So this is Corbry. In Corbry's defense, he has put a lot of time into the game, into a lot of testing. I think he's one of the leading testers on the Forge and stuff like that when it was really busted. You know, so which I think is absolutely fair. I think that's a fair point to make. So this is his tweet. He made this public, right? Well, no longer partnered with the Cycle game, even though they were where I was moving and I've been having internet trouble since the move. Crazy I put in so much time to prep for a Season 3 and to make sure I would be able to make content as much as possible at launch. GG's, I guess. Was excited to dive into Season 3 of everyone, but I guess I'll put my energy elsewhere. See you all later today. What blows my mind is always told exceptions can be made, especially when important real-life means come into play. Basically, to believe that I will still be involved with the partner program that they had. Fortune's favor. During the move, I discovered I had noise in my lines for internet provider. This caused extreme packet loss on my connection. So long story short, he's moving. He told the devs they were moving. The devs said it was fine. Do your thing. And then he talks a bit about the rotation here. Surprise, surprise. Frantik's replying here. I did reply to this. And I'll show you my reply, I guess, because I guess it's important for context. Here. Wherever it's... Wait. No, I went past the tweet. 1 second. Sorry. I'm assuming there it is. Yep. So I said here, why does the favor status dictate whether or not you can make content for the game? You made content for it before the fact and you were told you could reapply. Going public with this in the way you did looks very safe and tight or some, only heavily lowered your chances of not ruined it outright or becoming favored again. I personally would have just bit the bullet and just worked hard to secure a longer lasting place within the creator program. I've wanted to do that badly. Best of luck either way. This is my reply. Corbury wasn't removed from the partner program because he was moving house and he had some issues with internet lines. That's not what happened. Because otherwise I would have been removed from the program. So, you know, I will say that Corbury, as much as, you know, he was a very, very big grinder for the game. He did a lot of testing on the forge and stuff like that. He also suffers, unfortunately, from the same entitlement that Frantik suffers from, albeit Corbury isn't as, I guess you say, obnoxious about it. Corbury, like Frantik, would often go in very, very heavy rants in the Discord. I'm not saying any of this is the reason for him being removed, by the way. I don't know the reason anybody is removed. That's on the devs. I don't bother to ask about that either. He, like many others, including Frantik, would go on these massive, unfounded rants in the game. He would take digs at the devs. Genuinely, he wouldn't present his feedback as well. And within discussions and stuff like that, like Frantik and like others too, when other partners were discussing with them, they would often do sarcastic digs and they would act like children when it comes to like arguments and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't good composure. I'm not saying once again that this is the reason for this, but yeah. Another thing as well, we have a council for the game, right? So some of the guys that Jaeger really vibe with. Right? I don't know who's on the council. I don't really care to know either. Like I said, I'm just in here doing my own thing. But I remember very vividly that Corbury went off on a massive tangent because he wasn't put in the council. He was saying he put in more hours than anybody else. He deserves it. Yada yada yada. That same sense of entitlement. And as much as I do respect the fuck out of Corbury for all the time he's put into the game, all the testing the forge he's done, as ultimately, if you allow entitlement to completely sour a lot of your feedback, and if you don't stay composed during things like discussions and everything else as well, guess what? You're probably not going to be included in the partner program anymore because devs don't want to work with people who don't have composure. Simple as. I've seen PvPers say the same things as Corbury and Frantik, but in a much more constructed, much more neutral way. And the devs are still working with them. We have a saying here in England. Chat shit, get banged. And they chatted a lot of shit. Anyways, that was Corbury's little tangent.
Don't make content on the game who aren't in the same genre as us. Makes no sense. I just don't get where Jaeger is going with this. Also, they're still allowing creators into this content creator program that do not pull any views. It makes no sense. Why would you let creators into your partner program, give them access to all of these assets, early playtests, that kind of stuff, if they're not pulling any views? They're not doing anything for you.
Who are you to determine whether or not they're not viewership? You know what I think with Frantik? I think like numbers and viewership mean so much to him that he's completely ignoring all other contexts. This is a common theme in this video now where he's like, if people who don't play the game as much as me or don't pull as many viewers as me, don't listen to these guys, don't give them any benefits. If Jaeger like working with them, they like working with them. If they don't like working with you, Frantik, like they very clearly don't, in my opinion, that's fucking tough shit. That's on you.
They're not advertising the game because no one is watching them. And this is no offense to the individual creators. I started, somewhere. Everyone starts somewhere. So obviously you need to pull, you need to get the content out there. You need to pull the viewers. It's hard. And trust me, I know. I've been there. I'm not even that big. And I still understand it. I still struggle to this day to pull in views on Cycle.
But you've just said.
The audience isn't there, but you shouldn't get the same perks that someone who has put in the time and effort does. And
you've just said, Frantik, like dev shouldn't listen to people who don't put in the hours and aren't PvPers. And you've just said as well that dev shouldn't give. You're contradicting yourself so heavily here. And you've just said yourself you don't pull in great viewership, so why should we listen to you? Why should the devs work with you? You don't pull the great viewership, right? According to what you just said there. So why should they work with you? And yet you're complaining that they're not working with you. Frantik, come on, man.
And actually pulls views. And it may sound cocky or selfish or whatever, but it's not fair. That's why they have an affiliate program and a partner program. If you are not pulling the viewership, you should be in the affiliate program. And if you are pulling the viewership or bigger...
Hi, Bobby. Yeah, we'll play some soon after that. I'm just going to finish reacting to this dung heap of a video, man. We're nearly done now.
A bigger streamer, a bigger YouTuber, you should be in the partner program. Why have two separate groups if you're not going to utilize them? It makes no sense. No sense at all. I don't get it. Also, the prizes. So some kind of dog, you know him quite well. He's one of my good friends. We play almost every single day together. He has won the #1 cycle YouTuber past 2 partner program rotations in a row. And what he got for that was a HyperX headset and a HyperX mic. So now, moving into Season 3, they've gotten better prizes. Now, for the Twitch side of things, which makes no sense why you'd value Twitch more over YouTube, you can get way more audience exposure on YouTube than you can on Twitch, especially with some of the views that Dog and them are pulling in. It's insane. So it makes no sense to me why they'd value Twitch over YouTube. But
to make it fair and to cover all platforms, as many platforms as possible. So people who do grind as well as much on Twitch get rewards, and people who still grind on YouTube get rewards also. I think that's fair and reasonable. You reward a Twitch streamer, you reward a YouTube content creator. I think that's very common for a lot of competitions when it comes to devs and their creators.
But for the Twitch side, you can win a full PC. For the YouTube side, you can win a 4070 Ti. Sounds great. Yes, they're finally making the rewards better for the partner program.
What does he mean? Finally making the rewards better? Frantik, your entitlement, bro. The devs don't have to give us anything. They don't have to give us anything at all. What are you on about? They're finally giving us better rewards. How fucking ungrateful can you be, mate? Oh, I only got a free headset and a free microphone. Oh, well, you know, I'll take it, I guess. But hey, we're getting a 4070 Ti next. That's glad they're finally giving us better rewards. Why do I need to be... why do I need... Why? I don't...
Downside is they all of a sudden started allowing...
I'm not going to make it to the end of the video, chat. I'm not.
Massive creators back into the partner program, even though they said they wouldn't in the past because they wanted to spotlight the smaller creators that have stuck with Cycle the entire time.
Yes.
They started letting insanely massive creators back into the partner program, which just gives no hope for any of the small creators anymore to even win those prizes. The big creators are going to win hands down. They can post one video and none of us are ever going to touch the views that those big creators get. They don't need the prizes. They make insane money off of Twitch and YouTube. They don't need the PC.
Oh no, the biggest streamer is making more content than me, and he's gonna win. Oh no. Listen, Frantik, my man. Jaeger are not gonna just let the bigger content creators steamroll everything. They even said themselves they're gonna take previous winners into account and make sure everyone gets a fair shake, yeah? You are just...
They don't need the 4070 Ti. Now, this is a little bit of a controversial topic. So, RMTing stands for real money trading, RWTing, real world trading, essentially buying gear with real life currency.
It's a very big problem in games, right?
Season 1, when gear was a lot more valuable, way more valuable. Season 2, with the dupes and the bugs, gear didn't really have any value to it. But Season 1, it had a lot of value to it.
Season 1's economy was pretty much the same, if not slightly easier than Season 2. Because you could farm things a lot more, certain things were more to sell. So armor generally wasn't as valuable back then because it was very easy to obtain. It was harder to obtain in Season 1 because of all the bloody cheaters. You couldn't keep a good, consistent loadout going because you'd always lose it to cheaters in Season 1.
There were multiple streamers that we have screen capped and submitted to Jaeger that were selling gear on their stream for donations, specifically saying, if you donate, I will give you a kit. Not saying, oh, okay, hey, we're doing a sub giveaway, something like that. That's different to all of your subs. It was, if you donate this amount or more, I will give you gear. That is RMTing in my eyes. I don't know how other people see that, but as straight RMTing or RWTing in my eyes, there's no way around it.
I think what's important here, and I will partially agree here. Technically speaking, it does fall into the category of RMT, but you have to understand where RMT actually comes from. You know, at the end of the day, RMTers make all of their money because they hire cheaters to gather it all up for them. That's why Tarkov is infested with RMT and cheaters right now, because there's a market for it. But the only way they can reliably get the amount is by cheating, by wiping entire lobbies and getting out and making a quick buck, and getting everything to a dupe account or whatever before they get banned. That's how that works. So as much as I do agree, technically speaking, it does fall into the realm of RMT. On the flip side, it's not like these streamers cheated to get it. They earned it themselves and they just wanted to give back to the community. If they make a quick buck on the side, fair enough. I think that's fine. It does technically fall into RMT, but it's not like they cheated to get the gear, so I think it's fine. This is his opinion piece. He said it's his opinion, so yeah.
We reported this to Straticus, and Straticus essentially said that there's nothing they can do, or that they're...
I know you're second. Let me know if you feel better soon. Do you find anything about connection at Twitch? Also, RMTs against the rules correctly. I'm out something from someone. RMTs against the UELAND because it's supposed to go back to me.
We're gonna look into it and never did anything about it. RMTing is against the game rules. There are people being banned, cheaters, RMT.
We received a report of investigate discussing action internally, which one of those things we talk about is a great grey area of the sad stuff we haven't updated internally. Yeah, Justin's put it very well there. Justin, if you don't know who he is, he's a community manager. He's put it very well there. It's a grey area because, like I said, Straticus originally said it is against the UELA, but upon looking, because all Frantik said here was that someone was RMTing, aka what the majority, like 90% of us know it by, is that someone is buying gear or selling gear through a cheating group, right? So that's all the context Frantik gives in this screenshot, at least. So he doesn't say like, hey, so this guy's RMTing. Technically, it's not the RMT as we know it. He's selling gear to like people who donate and stuff like that, but he's not cheating. What are we gonna do? So when Justin found out about this, that's when it became the gray area, because suddenly it's like, it's technically RMT, but it's also not. It's not like he's cheating or is selling it on a website or whatever, so it's okay.
That's the whole reason cheaters are cheating, is to RMT in the game. The whole reason that cheaters are cheating is to RMT in most cases, not every case, but in most cases, to get gear to sell it to people on websites that they can sell gear on auction houses and stuff like that. They sell this gear for real world money. So what?
Hi, Justin. He did not. He as in I hope he got permission from Scrat and just to publish that. If he'd not, again, like a professional, he's got a point. Oh, Justin says he did not get consent to publish that. Well, Justin, not to be funny, mate, but according to Frantik says, because he's no longer a partner and he's not under any anymore, he can do and say whatever the fuck he wants. So, this is the kind of person we're very clearly dealing with.
What is the difference between a bigger streamer
Look at me though,
telling
man.
his viewers they can donate to get gear? That is the same fucking thing in my opinion, and Jaeger did nothing about it. I'm not going to name any streamers individually. It's just I don't want to out them. It was so long ago too. But I did want to bring this up, that Jaeger did nothing about it because they were afraid to ban one of their bigger streamers from the game in fear of losing that viewership.
Yeah, Frantik, you're kind of going off on one again here, mate. Like Justin just said, it's a grey area. And I just said this as well without even having any input from the screenshots you said. It's not technically RMT because no cheating was done to acquire the gear, and it wasn't done through a very infamous cheating RMT website. So no, it's not technically RMT. It barely just like dips its toes into the realm of it. But like Justin said, it's a grey area. You can't ban someone because they want to sell some of their gear off. I think that's fine. It's a bit of a grey area, sure, but the same can be said for embeds on your stream. It's a grey area. You can't ban someone for doing it because there's technically no rules against doing it. If this streamer you're mentioning, Frantik, if he had like an entire website for RMT, which were known to hire cheaters to gather all the gear for them, he'd probably not just be banned from the game, but banned from Twitch too, because that's against TOS there as well.
So they put viewership over integrity of the game.
If they put viewership over integrity of the game, I wouldn't be favored. Because I average about 20 to 30 viewers a stream. I don't meet the partner requirements, but because I'm passionate for the game and I give feedback to the devs in a very well-constructed way, I don't poke for them, don't date to them, and don't insult anyone, for God's sake. Frantik, you're going back on yourself over and over and over again, pal. You've said yourself that the creator programs are flexible with this kind of stuff. Yet you're complaining that people are being let in because based on viewership, and you're complaining that people are not...
They were allowing a streamer to sell gear for donations on their stream and didn't step in and do anything against it. They essentially had the power to do something, decided not to because of the fear of losing viewership. Now, this is a little bit of a off-topic point, but another reason why I may or may not continue making cycle content in the future is the incapable dev team. This is the most incapable dev team I've ever seen in my entire life. They are, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with...
All right, let him cook. Let him cook. Just... let him say what he has to say. Let him
Jaeger,
cook.
Dev team, what games they've made, what Cycle was before it was the Cycle Frontier. It was a battle royale. Essentially, everything you are seeing in the Cycle Frontier are reused assets from the Cycle Battle Royale when it existed.
Yeah.
Nothing is new. Nothing is being created currently for the game.
We're in that fiction realm again. Yes, the cycle was originally a battle royale before. Yes, they are reusing a lot of the assets from before because I want to keep it within the same universe. It's consistent to the universe they want to make. I don't think I don't think it's necessarily a lazy or bad thing to just take previous assets and put them into your... like, you do understand, Frantik, that's how a lot of sequels work. You do understand that, right? Some of the sequels to your most favorite games, they take assets from previous games and just update them a little bit and then add a couple of new assets. At the top of my head, Gears of War, one of the absolute best third-person shooter games in the history of third-person shooter games. You compare all of the games side by side, you're going to see a lot of the same assets, but it's a good franchise regardless. Halo is the same thing. A lot of assets were used over there as well, giving it a bit of a makeover. Like, that's not like, that doesn't mean the dev team in question is incapable. They're just being smart with their resources. Because creating new resources and stuff like that, like, it takes a lot of time. The Howler, for example, that was in the old game, but it moved completely differently. It performed a completely different purpose what it does in this game right now. And you know, it has lots of new attacks and stuff like that too. So it's not, this is, so Frantik is saying that dev teams are incapable of, because they're doing this. Like, how much of an armchair dev can you be? Counter-Strike is a fantastic example too. Thank you for that, Amnio. Counter-Strike is a fantastic example too, but people love that. But it's okay, but because Frantik was removed from the partner program, that makes them automatically a bad dev team.
Everything is reused assets, and there are people who have played the...
Not correct. Not everything is a reused asset. Not correct. That is categorically incorrect.
Battle Royale that have said this a million times, that the dev team is not creating new skins, they're not creating new guns, they're not, you know, creating new maps. It's all part of the Battle Royale. Not
creating new maps. Chat. Did we get a new map recently? I can't remember. They haven't been creating any new maps recently, so, you know, like, have we got any new maps lately? Oh wait, yeah, Tharis Island. I think Frantik is like in a time loop, bro. He's like, he's stuck.
Yeah, now Tharis may have been a new map, which whatever.
Okay, very good.
But they're
okay, I don't like Tharis a lot myself because the map needed work, but still a new map. The Forge is still really cool. And there's a lot of potential with the map as well for other things as well.
Reusing a ton of assets from the other game and turning it into the cycle, which is fine. Whatever. It saves you time. You already have these assets. I like how the cycle looks, so I'm not complaining about the reusing of assets.
What? You just complained about it, Frantik. You just said the dev team were incapable because they were doing this. What is this guy on? I'm not complaining that they're doing this, but the dev team are incapable because they reuse all their assets. But I'm not complaining that they reuse all their assets. It's smart. Bruh. Oh, God. I can't make it to the end of the video. I'm struggling so hard.
But on the Season 3 roadmap, they said to expect new sci-fi weapons in
Yes.
Season 3.
Yes.
You know what the new sci-fi weapons are in Season 3? They reused
Oh,
old
God.
assets and current assets. Let's use, for instance, the PDW. So now there are Mark 1 PDWs and Mark 2 PDWs.
Right. It's not Mark 1 PDWs.
Whoa.
It's not just PWs. There's Mark 1 and Mark 2 versions of nearly every gun in the game currently. Mark 1 guns are cheaper, more budget-based guns that you can run that perform reasonably well. Not too great, but not too bad either. Mark 2 guns are very rare versions of the gun that you can only find in Raid. They typically have better attachment slots, better magazine sizes, better damage, better penetration. Better rarities more often than not. We are getting new guns in Season 3. They're not here for Season 3 right now because they didn't make it in time and because they want to get the Mark 1 and Mark 2 version in a really nice sweet spot before they do end up adding new guns because Jaeger have been really smart about this in my eyes. Now when they add a gun, they're not just adding one gun, they can potentially add 3 guns. They can add the main gun as it is, the Mark 1 version, and the Mark 2 version. So that's why they want to get the system in place first before they do add the eventual guns to come. They've been teasing about them a fair bit already, but it's not just Mark 1 and Mark 2 PDWs. You know, and the stuff, more stuff in the season is coming. We are going to get content updates during the season and for future seasons too. The devs have said this over and over again.
They didn't create anything new. All they did was create 2 variations of the same exact gun, change the damage, change the pen, change what attachments you can and cannot put on the guns, called them new weapons.
No, they didn't say that. They didn't call them new weapons. It's Frantik. That's not true, mate, and you know it. They didn't say they were new guns. They said it was a new Mark 1 and Mark 2 system. Come on, man.
The new sci-fi weapons that we're supposed to expect in moving into Season 3, when we called them out on this and told them that they lied directly to us about these new weapons, they said, no, that roadmap is not a promise. It's just something you could look forward to. Now,
when they said that new guns are going to come in Season 3, the phrasing wasn't they're going to come at the beginning of Season 3. They said it was something that could become in Season 3. That implies throughout the 6-month course of the game, of the season, its duration. It's not the dev's fault that you misinterpreted that information, you and many others, Frantik, and it's not their fault that you couldn't have put 2 brain cells to that to figure it out.
Now, if you put a roadmap out to the public like that, you better expect that the public is going to expect those things moving into your new season. And if you can't uphold
Yes, it's going to be coming.
that, then you are directly lying to your player base and your viewers. I can't get behind that. That is awful to me. The incapability of the dev team as it sits right now, the comrade has still not been fixed after 2 full seasons and a 4-month extension of Season 2. The comrade still gets so...
I don't think it was just... No. Wait. Well, Season 2 extended by 4 months or 2 months? Because it lasted for 6 months, right? I don't think the maths works up there. I don't think it does, but whatever. The comrade does need fixing. I don't know if they fixed the comrade yet in Season 3 because, surprise, surprise, no one's actually managed to get a comrade yet because it's supposed to be much harder to get now. So, there's no way Frantik can sit here and say they haven't fixed the comrade yet because no one has a comrade in Season 3. I'm hoping that they have fixed it, and if they haven't fixed it, I'm going to be very disappointed. But nobody knows if it's been fixed or not yet because no one has a bloody comrade yet. And it was starting to feel a bit better towards the end of Season 2, but it needed more work.
Many false red hit markers. And my opinion, this is just my opinion, is that the reason it hasn't been fixed yet is because the dev team doesn't know how to fix it. You can see in previous patch notes that they write at the bottom of the patch notes, we understand there's a bug with the comrade. We understand, this,
Yes.
we understand that, but it hasn't been fixed. And it's my opinion, the reason it hasn't been fixed is because they do not know how to fix it.
Chat, run me through this one more time. What's the process of fixing a bug? What's the process of fixing a bug in any video game? Bug is reported. Logs and video evidence is reported. Devs look at evidence, see there's a problem, start scouring through the countless lines of code to try and find what's wrong with it. Try to find the right code. Try to code it right. Test it. See if it works. If it does work, great, release it. If it doesn't work, or if another bunch of lines of code are corrupted, sure, go over it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, until they get it right. That is the process of fixing a bug. That's why it took them quite a while to fix the kinetic arbiter audio bug in season 2. Because it wasn't a simple bug to fix. That's the process of fixing any bug in any game whatsoever. Vin just put it right there. Replicate, diagnose, recode attempts. 1 to 6. That's how it works. The fact, just because it's taken a while for them to fix it doesn't mean they don't know how to fix it. It just means they're working on it, Frantik. Once again, you are being such an armchair dev here. It astounds me.
If they did, would have been fixed already. Makes zero
Oh, God, if they knew how to fix it, it'd be fixed already. Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
In season 1, the Comrade worked perfectly. And you know why? This is my theory, because the Comrade's hitbox when you shot the projectile was much larger. So the splash damage of the actual projectile was much larger, so you wouldn't get false red hit markers. Now, they made the Comrade an impact gun. It is no longer a grenade launcher. The grenades do no splash damage.
I disagree. I've been splashed several times by Comrade. As much as it's not working, it wasn't working very well in season 2. Splash damage from the Comrade is still very scary. Wasn't the Comrade only added at the end of season 1? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure, though, that as far back as I can remember, the Comrade wasn't working very well. But I'm not going to say anything to that because my memory is not very clear on it.
It is shoot them directly or you don't get any damage done to them at all. That is where I think the Comrade went wrong. When they changed that hitbox to be impact only, it fucked up. It started making red hit markers. If they would revert it back to the way it was, I guarantee you'd stop seeing those red hit markers. But yeah,
guarantee you he whined about this, Def. Guarantee it.
Jaeger doesn't think like that. They do not like to make a change and then go back on it. I don't know why. Like, that's something that a dev team should be able to admit. Like, hey, we messed up. We're going to revert it back to the old way to fix the bugs and stuff like that. Or we're going to remove the Comrade from the game until we can figure out why it has false red hit marks, like they did with the alien vision. Just makes no sense to me. I don't get it. One of the other things...
I will agree and yield the point that ideally I would have liked to see the Comrade removed like the Hunter Vision, because it did genuinely, for the longest time, not work properly. So I will yield and I will agree with Frantik here. If the Hunter Vision was removed for this longer time, because it didn't work intentionally, in my opinion, the Comrade should have had the same treatment because it wasn't working properly. It wasn't reliable. It wasn't working fully to its degree. Now, bear in mind, guys, we also have to get information regarding something by people replicating it. You know, the Hunter Vision was replicated enough to the point where the devs realized that it needed to be taken down and tested in private. You know, but the thing is as well, is that the Hunter Vision is much easier to test in private servers because all it does, you just have to look at people and do it. Whereas with the Comrade, testing the gun is a much more trickier in offline servers because you're only doing it in a very small sample size and there's only so many scenarios you can cover. Leaving it in the world, the live servers for a longer time, helps the devs get more information, get more reports and stuff like that, with the hope of fixing it, hopefully. Once again, nobody knows if the Comrade's been fixed yet. I really hope it is, because it's a pretty cool gun. But, yeah, Frantik is still operating under the assumption that the Comrade is still not working, but when nobody knows if it's working or not.
Things is the scarceness of balance patches. The Brute and the Bassie were completely overrunning the end to mid-season of Season 2. And
True.
It took us almost 3 months to get a balance patch on the Brute and Bassie.
Because it wasn't as urgent as, let's say, working on a new season, Frantik. Because, you know, it wasn't like the Gorgon, where it was literally broken and bursting people down into oblivion in a single burst. It wasn't like other guns, the Kinetic Arbiter, for example, which was so unbelievably dominant and strong that people were literally using it like shotguns towards the end of Season 1. The comparison of the Brute and Bassie towards guns that were actually broken and actually needed fixing and balancing is ridiculous, because the Brute and Bassie, whilst quite strong, weren't in the realm of urgent fixing, urgent balancing required strong. They were just strong. And it was around this time that Jaeger started shifting way more of its focus over getting as much as they could done, tested and everything else for Season 3. Whoa. But also, just they wanted to focus on it, you know? And as much as they knew that Season 2 was a not lost cause, but they knew that Season 2, as it stands right now, wasn't the priority to sort out. Season 3 was. Season 3 is what we're hoping it was going to save the game. So it's only natural they shift the majority of their function and resources over to there to get all the balancing done right for Season 3. They were overpowered, but not broken or bugged. Exactly. The Arbiter was very, very, very much overpowered. You know, the Basilisk, which originally was quite overpowered, but it wasn't like obnoxiously overpowered to the point we needed an urgent fix.
Makes no sense. When we called them out on what is taking so long, they told us that the balance patches cannot be hot fixed into the game, which I don't know how familiar you guys are with hot fixes. A hot fix is essentially a patch in between patches.
They couldn't hotfix the game because they were working on Season 3, and if they were to hotfix the game, it would probably fuck with a lot of the systems in Season 3 as well. That's why we got minimal patches. They were already working on all this stuff, Frantik. That's how game development works, and that doesn't seem to have hit home just yet.
So you have, you know, like say they're scheduled to put out a patch every other Wednesday.
Yes.
Hotfix would be a patch in between that 2-week schedule
of
their patches. So
yeah,
maybe
typically.
like in a week, they would be like, oh, we realize there's a bug. We're going to throw out a hot fix to fix that right on the spot. They told us that the balance patches cannot be hot fixed in. Makes no sense. I've been partners in many other games, and I've played so many games throughout my 27 years on this planet. Never heard a dev team say that they can't hot fix.
He's 27? Fucking hell, he sounds like a 21-year-old.
In gun balance patches. Makes no sense at all. I just really don't understand what Jaeger is even talking about with half this stuff. And maybe we would if they communicated better with us, which they don't at all. None of us. They're over here on Twitter busy posting memes instead of updating us on what is actually happening.
Frantik is the guy. He's the guy. He's the dude. Whenever Battlestate posts a TikTok or genuinely funny TikTok, he's the guy that says, well, rather than doing TikToks, maybe you should work on the game. He's that guy, dude. Fucking hell, 27 years old. Yeah, social media guy. Go code bug fixes re. Oh, my word. Ugh.
In the game. Another thing that the devs struggle to acknowledge is the mineral scanner. I am on the same side of what I just said with the comrade with this, of the mineral scanner. When you scan, you can see players through smokes with it. They are now adding that to Season 3 as an intended feature.
The phrasing isn't that. And I looked at the patch notes and I did see what Jaeger was actually saying. They said that they don't have enough information on it just yet to really decide whether or not it's going to be abused to fuck, right? They didn't say that. What they did say is that they're going to leave it in the game for the time being, but they're going to keep an eye on it because they don't have enough information about it yet. Now, I will say, I will agree with Frantik here. The mineral scanner should have no feature at all whatsoever where it should be able to see players through smoke. We saw this very, very consistently, and I mentioned this to a couple of CMs. I saw big teams running legendary gear because it was the end of wipe, a pre-wipe event and stuff, doing this all the time. They're running legendary guns, they brought in smoke grenades up the wazoo, and they brought in mineral scanners as well to try and do this. We even ran into a streamer who was doing it. I'm not going to name that person. So I do agree with him here, but the phrasing of the patch notes isn't like, yeah, we want this to be a feature. They said they're going to keep an eye on it, and if it does become a problem, they'll address it. Plus, once again, Frantik, Season 3 was right round the corner. They had no time to do it. They were focusing on getting Season 3 sorted.
Of the mineral scanner. That's bullshit. My theory here is that they didn't know how to fix that bug to get it to stop showing players through smokes, so they just added it to the game and added it to the mineral scanner as an intended...
Well, a lot of your opinions in this video, Frantik, frankly, mate, are either coming across as extremely self-entitling. You're either completely deluded as to development works across the board, just such a general, not even like in-depth, just general practice amongst the game. And you're also contradicting yourself so many times at several points in this video. So yeah, your opinion really doesn't hold a lot of water and a lot of ground right now, but...
feature because they couldn't figure out how to fix it. And I don't care what Jaeger says, they're going to go back and be like, no, we actually really like that. That's a really cool use of it. It can get more people to use the mineral scanner. Nah, bullshit. That's all lies. They cannot fix that problem, so now they're going to keep it in the game as an intended feature. This is kind of just a rant at this point. I'm just going into exactly all the issues that I have with Cycle. If you guys even stuck around to this point, I do great.
God, I tell you what, Frantik, it was hard me sticking around this long for this video, man. I had to really try.
Greatly appreciate that. Please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribe.
No, I'm not going to do any of that. Right then, so let's recap then. Frantik's video. He brings up, I think, maybe 3 to 4 good points that I agree with. The RMT thing is definitely a grey area. The approach with regarding streamers and content creators using embeds, definitely, I don't think they should have a place in the partner program or in any competitions whatsoever. I agree with him on that also. I agree with him to a degree about the mineral scanner as well. I don't think it should have a purpose like that. But At the end of the day, Frantik, and this is what I'm going to finish on. You are not coming from an objective place. You are coming from a place of frustration and very obvious bitterness that you were removed from the Cycle Partner program. Going off the video and looking at either my reaction or to others' reactions, you should have a pretty good idea now as to why maybe you were removed from the partner program. Like I said, I don't know why Jaeger removed you. I don't frankly care, nor you and other people as well. But I will say that you and several of the others who were removed from the partner program, there was a very common sense on theme of entitlement. You wanted the devs only to listen to you and nobody else. You thought you represented way more people than you actually represent. I know someone else who does that as well. At the end of the day, you are one person with a lot of time to spend in the game. And that time would be valued and rewarded if you just composed yourself better. You provided feedback that was just more structured and more constructive than anything else. You could have done it what Spud Hunter does. You know, Spud Hunter just kind of like stopped playing the game, distanced himself from it, and then popped his head in every now and then. You know, Spud has his issues with the game, sure, but at the end of the day, he doesn't go on these massive fucking insulting rants that hold no real substance whatsoever. And Spud definitely doesn't contradict himself as much as you do in your video. I'm not going to wish you good luck, because at the end of the day, and I'm going to say this to anybody else who thinks this is the case too, your favored status or your partnership status with a game doesn't determine your success as a content creator. Doesn't determine your success as a content creator. Your success as a content creator is determined by your consistency, by your quality, and by your positivity, right? I mean, to be fair, negative people can be successful too, but I digress. The point is that you've displayed the consistency, but nothing else. I'm very, very disappointed, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm glad you're removed from the program, because this kind of self-entitlement, this kind of composure, this kind of really shitty attitude that you've got and others had as well, doesn't belong in any program, as far as I'm concerned. Good luck in Dark and Darker. Hopefully the devs don't look at you and look at this video and they start to have a different insight to you, because maybe, hopefully, by that point, Frantik, you'll do some self-reflection and understand that where you're coming from is completely screwed over.